Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back here to my channel where I play Planet Zoo. My name is Nissa and today we're gonna build a double habitat for the Przewalski's white horse and the Bactrian Camel. This is a habitat that Frontier decided to make more difficult than needed because they have interspecies enrichment because they roughly live the same places, though looking in the Zoopedia, the Przewalski's wild horse live in grassland biomes and the Bactrian Camel live in desert and temperate biomes. So therefore I had a bit of an issue with the foliage because it's hard to find plants that work for all of that. And to make it even more difficult, they neither want the same terrain at all. Where the Bactrian Camel wants a lot of sand, the Przewalski's wild horse doesn't like any. So that's a few issues I had to combat in this speed build, so I did the best I could and I hope you'll like. The house here for this habitat will be 100% backstage. These are animals that mostly like to be outside either way, so the guests can watch them outside and then they have the opportunity to go inside for some peace and quiet. But even through the night, this is a warm area. Again, we are in a tropical biome here, so therefore it will be warm enough for the camels and horses to stay out all night, so the house is more for peace and quiet than for sleeping. I made sure to be able to split up their inside area, basically just because you could have some friction between the animals. Maybe you have a almost adult male that we can't ship out and release just yet, so therefore it just made sense for me to be able to kind of split it off. It can also be that we have someone got hurt or something like that, so I wanted to make that sure. This bridge I built now is kind of inspired by as I did with my front build in Looking for Molly Zoo. So they have these planks to go on, but there's room between them, so if they go and poop there, then they would kind of just walk over it, and over time it will be pressed through the plank and just end up beneath, so this bridge wouldn't be too flooded with poo. As you can see now, all of the animals really appreciate to be able to go outside here. And here again we meet the first problem where I first tried to make the Bactrian Camel happy here. So I give it a lot of sand, both kind of sand and a bit of dirt, and then we could pick a Przewalski's horse, and then I can go back in and put a lot of grass. Neither of them are perfectly happy with that, but it is better than nothing. Then I put in some stone walls here. Basically the ground wouldn't be able to keep itself up here, so therefore we need something to keep it up, so I use a stone wall. I kind of picture it would be a faux rock, so it would be some kind of concrete to make sure that it's placed in the right place, and also the fact that it would be strong and keep the ground up. I want to kind of keep in the theme that I started with the Amur leopard. Again, nothing looks too expensive, but it looks like we make sure to take care of our animal. So these faux rocks would just be perfect for that. Then of course I just finished it up here, and I use, as you can see, I alternative between 3 different stones, so I make sure I have the ones from the desert biome and the grassland biome to make again all happy, and the different coloration and stone adds a lot to the habitat. I feel like it does anyway. I know some people will feel other stuff, but I feel like it does a lot. So I just kind of put this around here, and then in a minute I will go in and copy it down to kind of fill in any holes I might have made at this point. I think it's both the Przewalski wild horse and the Bactrian Camel that only need a 1 meter and 25 in height, which I believe is just under 4 feet, so they don't need too much in here of railing at all. I already 2 meters high, so everything we add at this point would only be for the guests. Again, I only used the 4 meter path basically because at this point the zoo is a bit crowded, but over time we don't want guests in here. We only want our benefactors, so we won't have that many guests at a time. And furthermore, the fact that we will have more habitat, the guests will be more spread out. So right now we have a little bottleneck at both of our habitats, but as soon as we get more animals in here, that will fix itself. Now it seems like it's time to make the habitat more fitted for these 2 animals. So first of all, we give them something to eat from, and then we're gonna go in here with the cooling system. They can both withstand this heat in this climate, but I just want to give their house a little cooling system, so if they feel a bit too hot, they can go in there. Then we're gonna give them some good scratching trees, and before we're gonna end the rest of the enrichment items, we just gonna give them a little water area. So we're gonna build that in concrete here, and it's the standard build I always do, and this is going to be next to the barrier, so therefore it's gonna be half, if you can say it that way. Here, compared with the issue I got with the piggies for the Luga family zoo, here luckily I gave it the same angle on both sides, so this is much easier to get to fit. And then of course I just need to make it fit on top and just copy over it all. Again, very basic, very easy, and very functional. I think I forgot a lot, especially in the beginning when I tried to all the time make new and better stuff. I actually came to a point where I just couldn't figure out what to do next and next. And when it comes to a point, zoos don't have the energy and the resources to already make new, bigger, better. So therefore, having basic things that you know work, and then sometimes you can, for some habitat, make a difference, but normally zoos wouldn't do that with every single habitat. They would like to have something they can put in fairly cheap that they know works, and that's the important part here. I did run into a bit of trouble here with the water level, so I'm gonna higher the ground a bit just around the water, so we make sure that the water stays in the pool. And now I just want to ask you, have you gotten the new DLC? Because I clearly have, and I clearly enjoy it a lot. But there are also a bit of issues with it, honestly, so please tell me below, did you also find a few issues with it? Are you just overall happy? How are your feelings about this pack? Please tell me below. While I'm just putting in all of the enrichment, I went for the horsey first. And then now we go for the Bactrian Camel, and then it's time for some foliage. Luckily, a lot of the enrichment items are the same. And here I ended up with some issues because some of the plants work for some biomes and not for others. And I wanted to make everyone happy, so I needed to keep an eye on every single tag there was. but I do go in very basic. I think it's 20% foliage, the horses and the Bactrian Camel maximum want in the habitat. So therefore I actually wanted to put a lot of stuff in there, and then suddenly I remembered don't. But I do use some new enrichment. We have these kind of yellowish bushes, which I really like. It fits very well into something this desert-y. And then we put in these flowers, and I actually think they do something to the game, because maybe it's the new sniffing behavior, but the horses really seem to like to stand there and it looks like they eat grass. Maybe they just sniff the flowers, but I really like that effect. Now, because I know a lot of animals, and especially also the horses, really like to put their tongue on everything and pull it and pick it apart and kind of push their tongue into everything. I wanted something on top of this just to make sure that they wouldn't hurt themselves on the edges. So I just kind of put in this piece up here, and I actually think that is from the new DLC as well, just to make sure that they won't hurt themselves there. And then we do it the same in the windows here, which, if you noticed before, I actually made a bit higher just before, just to make sure that they won't jump out, because I had a 1 meter height before, so now I have 1.25 meters. And also the window in here, just to make sure that they don't hurt themselves. Of course, it is a zoo, and we have a lot of keepers to keep or it's not a zoo, but you know what I mean. We have a lot of keepers to keep an eye on it, so if they hurt themselves, we can do something, but rather don't have to than accidentally have to do it all the time. So here I actually make a bit of railing, and again, very basic railing, and it kind of matched the other railing we had for the Amur leopard, but it's still also very different, even though I used kind of the same theme and elements to it. And then actually, as I was making this barrier here, or railing, I got an idea, basically because I had a hard time here at the end to work them around. So I just got an idea, and I'm very happy that I did, because it just worked so well. So we're gonna put in I think it's a pitch stop slush. I put in here the pink one, which just works so well with the rest of it, and the guests really appreciate it. I think most of us know that for some weird reason, guests in this game are always hungry and always thirsty and always everything in between. So yeah, that's just a way to keep them happy, though I did have an issue with a long line, so I did actually add one at the entrance as well that will be deleted at a later stage, but not this one. I'm very happy with this one, to be honest. And then up here we're just gonna give it a bit of a green rooftop. Again, going with the conservation here, we're gonna have a lot of biodiversity. We're gonna put in these flowers up here because they are extremely expensive and kind of rare, these big purple flowers, but also the fact that up here they will be protected and no one would accidentally hurt them. And then we're gonna put in some signs here. This one is kind of big, so we're gonna put this one instead, just so people can see what it is and are intrigued to go up here. Then I'm gonna put in this railing the rest of the way around here, so I actually gonna make a cut here until I'm done with that, because it took forever. And it seems like I'm almost done here. I'm just finished up here at the end, just trying to make it a little more pretty here, and then gonna put down some shading. I'm gonna use the mud puller technique, which is a technique I really like to use a lot. And then I just gonna try to center this. Basically work it around here. I use 2 pieces to make sure I'm in the middle, and then we're gonna move it out here just to make sure that we don't ruin anything else. And then basically just pull it around here. Then I'm gonna remove the pieces I'm not going to use, and then I just noticed that it's kind of hard to see which pieces I'm using in the middle. So I just removed all and go back in with the pieces I needed, which are very easily when you use this snap thingy. Then I needed a middle piece or a pole piece for my shading here. And I find this flexi colored wood piece that I'm able to roughly give the same color, even though it's kind of hard to place it the right way here. So I work with a few different outcomes, but I end up with a good one. Then we're gonna move it back here, and I'm removing the mud puller. Then I try, and notice I say try, to make all 4 of these line up perfectly. And that's kind of hard to do, but it ended up working. So I placed the 2 first and make them work, and then add 1 here to make that work, and then I assume I couldn't make the last one work, and luckily I could. Then I'm gonna extend everything here, and here you can see if I have put them a little close together, then the middle pieces would line up instead of this where I have 2 pieces right next to each other instead. But it doesn't make the biggest challenge because I'm gonna cover a big part of this later. So we're gonna do this, and then I believe I was going to do something for the sides here. The sun can be very tough in a tropical biome, and especially for all sizes, because the sun will be up for a long time, so it will get a lot around the build. So I wanted to make some shaders all the way around here. So I basically use the same with turning this 15 degrees angle every time. Then I'm gonna copy it, turn it over, maybe get matched down here. Then I copy both of them, turn them around and make them fit over here. Then I copy all of it and push it over here, which I'm very happy with, and then put them on the inside instead of the outside. Then I'm gonna go in for some foliage, and I thought I was going to use multiple colors and flowers, and I was so inspired, and then I just ended up basically going the most basic thing you can in this game, with the ivy. I think it's called climbing ivy or something like that. I'm actually shocked. I thought we have many more climbing plants, but apparently we don't. So we're gonna go with what we have here, and that's this, and it actually works very, very well, so I'm not complaining at all. But I would, of course I'm complaining. I would like some more coloring options. You would also be able to have kiwis in here or something like that, that could climb up and works as vines on this, so that would make sense for me. It doesn't mean it makes sense for anyone else, but it would for me. And then this, so it will kind of be dark in here, but I wanted to feel that it was very systematic and very pretty, and then it kind of grow a little too much maybe. So that's my shader, and I'm very, very happy with it as always. And now we come to a kind of tedious part again, because I wanted to make some flower bed, kind of like I did with the Amur leopard. So I just want to make a shape here, and then I'm actually gonna go around the entire path doing this the exact same way as I did in the last video. So I'm just gonna show you a tiny bit here, and then in a minute I'm gonna make a cut. The reason I haven't made the cut yet is because there's something I just wanted to show you over here. So I'm gonna extend it on both sizes actually, like this, but here I'm extended a bit far here, and then here I think I just put it into one building, copy this over, and then keep going that way, and you get the drill. So we're gonna make a cut here, and then I just jump in right here just to show you how I ended off on the other side here, so it can be extended to the next habitat. And then of course here I go in and make every single piece in here with dirt. I did use mold yesterday, but today we use this dirt instead. It actually doesn't make the biggest difference because I'm gonna cover it with foliage, but I just wanted to tell you that it's two different options and you can do what you want. Then I move a few trees up here, which also are placed in the habitat. And then it's just foliage time, so I'm gonna put in a lot of different foliage. Basically it's the same foliage again and again. So first of all I'm gonna go in with these. I think they are listed as trees, even though it looks more like plants for me. And I kind of build them up, so we have the biggest in the middle, and then small, medium size, and then small size at the edge. Then we only gonna use the small ones out here because I don't want anything to be too massive out here. Then again we take the big one, the medium one, and then the small one here. And then after this I'm going in and add some bigger trees back here just to get the tropical forest feeling here. And then it's time to go in here and look for plants, bushes and flowers, and I do that all together so I kind of can mix it in a bit at a time. So it's basically the same three things, I'm just adding again and again, although this flower bits. So while I do that, why don't we go in here on animalia.bio and look a little bit about the Przewalski's horse. First of all, I would say in the top it says that it's named after Nikolai Przewalski, who was a Russian explorer. That wasn't the weird part here, I want to notice. I always thought it was Przewalski, but in parentheses, I think it's called, it's pronounced Przewalski. So even though it's P or Z, it actually pronounced Przewalski, which makes this horse so much easier to pronounce. I don't really know why no one told me that before. Most of the info about the Przewalski's wild horse is the fact that it is the last living species in the wild, which the domesticated horse stem from. So a lot of this info will be basic horse info, so I'm gonna skip that. So we're gonna learn more about what's different about them, and this what you can read in every single horse book out there. After building this habitat and being very frustrated that the Przewalski wild horse live in grassland biome, where the Bactrian Camel lives in timbered and grassland and desert biomes, I kind of was extra frustrating by going on the site and looking at the Przewalski wild horse, since it actually lives in temperate grassland, desert, and grassland biomes, and the climate zone is temperate. So the only reason I have such a hard time making the plants and the ground and all of that fits together is basically because Frontier chose to make it as few biomes as possible instead of actually picking every single biome they like to live in. The Przewalski wild horse normally live in groups from 10 to 20 individuals. These will either be a bachelor herd with only males, or it will be harems with one male, with one stallion, which are a dominant male, who have the responsibility of mating with all of the females in the group. But he don't only get the fun job, it's also his job to protect the group against any kind of outsider, particularly other males. Therefore you will actually see him kind of riding alongside or around his harem to make sure that no one gets close to it. The harems mostly live closely bonded together. They groom each other, they eat together and this kind of things. But the bachelor group can be more loosely bonded, and therefore some of them can go away to eat on their own, or go for the water hole on their own or something like that, and then just come back when he wants to, where the harems need to be closely bonded so the stallion can keep an eye on everyone at the same time. So back here I'm just making a bit of a lunch route for the animals. So basically everything the keepers would need to mug out the stable here, or just giving the animals a snack here, is easily available. It could for instance be that you are mugging out the stable, then you see one of the camels or horses are hurt a bit or something like that, and you need to get close to it. Then you have a lot of fruit and vegetables out here to kind of lure them in, so you can look at what's happened without angering the animal, as well as actually just take a look at the habitats without being disturbed, just throwing some things around. Then I make 2 wheelbarrows, one in here which would be for fruit and vegetables, so you could put up one of these cradles just in here, and then I put one outside that would be more from mugging out, so you could mug out, put it in that, and then put it wheel it outside and leave it from there. Put in more cradles here and more fruit and vegetables, of course. The stallion only have 2 months, April and May, to make sure that every single female in his harem becomes pregnant. After that, the females will be pregnant for about 11 months, and then they will give birth to a single baby. As we all know, horses can have twins and can have triplets, but the normal is only 1. The little foal will be independent at the age of 6 to 13 months, whereafter a male foal will move out and find a bachelor group or make a new group with some other foal. Or if it's a female, she can of course hang around and wait for a new stallion. The Przewalski's horse is actually one of those animals that, with a lot of help from the humans, can become a sunshine story. Basically, they were extinct in 1960s, but after working together worldwide, we actually did reintroduce the Przewalski wild horse in a lot of the areas where they natural inhabited. Though they still have the same issue as they had before the wind instinct, which basically is that they have to compete for food and water with humans, livestock, and of course also other animals in the area. Furthermore, they also have a other threat. It's not because they won't get babies, but the babies they are just aren't sometimes so wealthy wild horses, because they interbreed with domesticated horses. Even though they are in the family, it's still not purebred. And since we don't have so many in the wild, they can't accidentally breed with their own offspring or cousins or other kinds of familiarity, because they, even though we have some in the wild now, they don't move too much around, so they keep breeding in the same area. So here I actually just try to make a way you could block a part of this enclosure, so you could bring in, if you have an animal that got hurt or something like that, or just should maybe you are going to move one soon but can it have to wait a bit, you can have it out there, so it's kind of on its own, kept out of the pride. As reported by this website, which is animalia.bio, again, link is in the description below, we at this point have 1,900 individual left of the Przewalski wild horse. That isn't that bad. It's still not good, but it isn't that bad. The issue here is kind of that 1,500 of them are living in zoos around the world. The rest of them, which is 400, live in the wild at this point, but it is because they have been released into the wilds, and of course they are planned on releasing more at some point, but there doesn't seem to be any specifics here. It's listed as endangered, which means not critical endangered at this point and not extinct at this point, so that's good. But it's still an animal that needs a lot of help to get back on their feet, and to kind of get a size of individuals where you shouldn't be worried about them anymore. Once again, I've been talking way too long, so I'm gonna shut my mouth now and enjoy the cinematics. Okay, guys, that's all for me today. Everything I talked about, I'll link below. So if you want to read more about the animals or anything like that, it's linked there. I also think I'm gonna link my video, and I made a video on every single prop in the new DLC. So if you want to go and look at that, the link will also be there. And only thing left today are, you know the drill, guys. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you know the next time I upload a video. I really hope to see you again, either in the comments below or in the next video. Bye, guys!